What is Girmit? Girmit is a mispronunciation of the English word agreement, referring to the agreements that Indian people signed under the British colonial system to become indentured laborers in Fiji. Girmit has also become the term used to describe the overall voyage of Indians to Fiji, including their experience and legacy. The term is heavy, carrying the weight of both trauma and resilience equally. The people themselves who were emigrated from India to Fiji have come to be known as the Girmitiyas. Why was this system created by the British, and why did Indians sign these contracts? After the Abolition of Slavery Act was passed in the 1830s, the British were scheming for a new source of cheap labor. They exploited the citizens of India and recruited them to become indentured laborers. Fiji was the last nation to receive indentured laborers in 1879, with Mauritius being first in 1834, followed by several Caribbean nations, including Guyana, Trinidad, and Jamaica. The British mainly targeted the impoverished citizens of India, made false promises, used deception, and had the Indians sign contracts under false pretenses. Many of the Indians who joined the system were illiterate. The actual terms of the agreement were not understood, and the Indian people simply believed that the British were telling the truth, providing them a solution to resolve their dire situations in their homeland. The British led the Indians to believe that they didn't have to travel too far, that they would be doing light work, and that they would be provided with free housing. The Indian people believed that working under these agreements would earn them decent money and better living conditions. Much to their surprise, the conditions were treacherous. What were the actual travel, working, and living conditions for the Indian indentured laborers? The journey across the Indian and Pacific Ocean was disturbing, disgusting, and scarring. There wasn't enough food or water. Whatever food there was often spoiled or infested. It was unsanitary, urine and feces overflowing on decks. There were outbreaks of disease, cholera, dysentery, measles, and more. There was physical and sexual abuse. All of this while each person had no more than 6 square feet of space. The work was 10 to 12 hours or more of continuous labor, mostly cutting sugarcane by hand. From before the sun came up to dusk, 6 days a week, not to mention the 5 to 10 mile walk to get to and from the living quarters, only to make 1 shilling per day, less for women, on top of which workers were docked pay for working supplies, medical leave, and for not working hard enough. To give you a modern day comparison, the most you could make was $9 per day, but didn't even. More physical and sexual abuse. Laborers lived in lines of barracks, referred to as guli lines. Dozens of people, both families and singles, crammed into one poorly built, leaking, unsanitary, corrugated iron or wooden structure with no privacy. More malnourishment, more disease, pneumonia, hookworm, more physical and sexual abuse. What was and what continues to be the Girmit's impact? Death rates were high from the time individuals boarded the jahaj, the ships, through the times they worked on land, several due to natural results of the disease and famine, and several due to suicide to escape the misery. Mental distress grew and inevitably passed on to following generations. Woven through it all is resilience. The Girmitiyas survived immeasurable hardships, witnessed the unspeakable, and still maintained brotherhood. They were Jahajipais, brothers of the ship, who sang, prayed, and shared stories together to keep each other's hopes up. Today, we continue to carry both the trauma and resilience within us, and this is how the Indo-Fijian Diaspora came to be. Future videos will discuss each of these elements in more detail. In memory, in honor, and in gratitude of our Girmit ancestors, I'm humbled to share their story. Thank you for watching.